Okay, so this is about homelessness in Minneapolis. As just a week or two ago, the park board voted to evict homeless people from Powderhorn and make sure that there are only 25 tents to a park. Now, I've spoken on this before. I've gotten educated a little bit on it from people on the ground, me being on the ground, and then also people that work in Hennepin County. Now, folks working on the ground and folks working in Hennepin County, they ain't getting along so well. I don't necessarily have a short game plan on this. And the way that I see all of this going is is in two forms. One is in creating honest public media, or not even honest, just public media that is public, like accessible to the people, and then creating a long-term plan to address homelessness in Minneapolis. You have 9,000 homeless people in Minneapolis, and you have 9 people that Hennepin County has hired for the homeless access team. We'll get into the homeless access team in a little bit. So to understand how everything is working in Hennepin County, you have 4 people. You have the 4 entities, not 4 people. You have the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, Hennepin County, that's Hennepin County, and then you have the park board. Now, the park board is clearly not ready to understand, address, or really take on any long-term solution regarding homelessness. They're not. Don't even try to run the riffraff with me. What they've shown so far is they do not have a plan. They do not have a long-term plan. Now, that's what it is. There is Park Commissioner Londell French, who is one of the only park commissioners that has actually been vocal and shown up to the encampments. That tells you something about the park board. That only one of them is showing up. So that being said, there is already a detachment, a disparity between the park board and what's going on in their parks. There's actually a 5th entity. We'll talk about that at the end. So the park board is not, they're not in a way to really address homelessness. And they are also, I believe, held, they're probably intimidated by a lot of the residents in Minneapolis. So there's that. Hennepin County is I can't even put this like properly. They are grossly underfunded to handle this at all. There are 9 people on the homeless access team. There are 9,000 homeless people in Hennepin County. That just tells you 1 per 1,000 person. I mean, that's worse than school counselors in the Minneapolis public schools. Or maybe it's about the same. I don't know. But that's how bad it is. So the homeless access team, what the homeless access team actually does is they basically connect people to services. They connect homeless people to services, addiction services. They engage with the folks, and they get them into permanent housing or temporary housing, and then check back in on them later to say, hey, how is your housing going? How's all that going? Now, you say what you want about Hennepin County, they don't have the firepower, or they have nowhere near the human power or the budget power to do anything about this. I mean, they can chip away. That's about it. And I heard from one of the Hennepin County staffers that they'd almost prefer that it would not be 25 tents to a park. It would almost be stronger to have 10 tents to a park. Because when you have that smaller community who knows each other, and you can sound off on this, I don't necessarily agree I don't know if I agree with it, but their ideal was 10 tents to a park, and that way you build more solidarity and community and people that actually have their back, as opposed to a tent city where, people don't trust each other and fights are breaking out and people are robbing each other. That seemed to be the logic going into it. I can't speak fully for that person, but the idea was to have 10 tents. Sound off on that however you want. But that, again, short-term plan, but it'll be, and I think that's what they were speaking to as well. Best to have 10 tents, and that's what it is. Because what's happening in a lot of these tent encampments is violence, sexual violence, trafficking, drug use, ODing, and violence. And so, I think I already said that. But you have that amongst the large encampment. When you have a smaller encampment, it lowers the risk of that and reduces the rate of those dangers and threats to that community. And you can contest that as well. So, I mean, this is kind of what I'm doing is learning as I'm going here. That being said, so that's what Hennepin County is doing. Hennepin County also has, they have other staffers in place that address this, case managers. The homeless access team are case managers. They work with the AICDC, the American Indian Community Development Corporation. Might have said that wrong either. I'm learning all about all these new groups. Also the also the Minnesota Urban Indian Directors. And this is also funny because it's like, why do all the brown folks need to do the work for the city? You know, like, why? Like, it's like black people having to shoulder the conversation about race for white folks to make them feel comfortable about it. You're seeing all these what are titled as, you're seeing these indigenous and Native American groups come in, might have been, same thing, but to come and do the work. And they, like, the county leans on them to do it. I found that interesting as well. But they basically, they're basically in agencies, community agencies that serve Native American folks. So there's that. Hennepin County also has 80 single bed units and 60 family shelter units, bed units. And this is a point of contention as well, because some people on the ground, boots on the ground, advocate against that. And a lot of what I've heard from Hennepin County is that they feel, from their experience, is that a lot of Native American people, indigenous folks, and please correct me on what the unmarked term is. I usually just say indigenous. I'm going to stick with that. Indigenous folks usually don't appreciate that, don't appreciate the family shelters because of the top two reasons this Hennepin County person said, because they don't feel safe and and don't like rules. When you go to these shelters, you have to abide by a certain amount of rules. Now, we're all humans and we're adults. You don't need to tell me when to go to bed. I'm an adult, and that's tough. You want your agency. And so those are the top two reasons that I was told why people don't like to go to the family shelters. But these shelters are actually open, or as I was told from a Hennepin County official. And I will really go to actually find that out for myself and fact check that. I'm just going off of a few meetings I had today to give information to you. Then there's Minneapolis, which is somewhat helping the economic department. There's I guess I got to say, because it was told to me, there was a particular police officer that went to Arredondo and told them to partner with homeless folks and start to speak to them. And in this conversation, it was like, oh yeah, this cop did this work. Okay, great. But it's this one person. And I think the fact that they're a cop, just they happen to be a cop. They also are probably a pretty good person, as well outside of that, and they would be doing this work anyways. So I think the fact that they're a cop doesn't really speak anything to cops. It's just, what it does is it speaks about cops. It's that there's the one cop doing the work. That's about it. Like, where are the rest of y'all at? And so that there's good people, and what I'm hearing, there's good people in Minneapolis, working in Minneapolis. There's not a great system. There's not even a good system. There's not even a serviceable system. And the homeless rate is higher. It's at an all-time high. And so it just goes to show you that there can be good individuals. The system is not serviceable at all. So that's where it's at. And then the state, what I've been told, is doing nothing. So that's where all of this is at for Hennepin County. Going forward, you need to understand the picture. You got to understand what's going on so you can help, so you can figure this out. I don't know what or who or why Mayor Jacob Fry thinks it's okay to turn the cheek to this. And don't tell me that he hasn't, because he actually absolutely has. They dubbed it the the wall of, let me see, what was it here? Oh goodness, I'm not going to be able to find it, but they dubbed it the Wall of Forgotten Natives in 2018. And that was along 55, along Hiawatha, when you saw the encampments pop up. And it's not like, people just started going homeless then. Homeless folks had been out. That's what it was. And so they started to, encamp together. Mayor Jacob Fry saw that. That was there. And the fact that you've had 2 years to get that right, or to even service it, and you haven't, it goes to show you where the leadership is at. It really does. Because these are people, boots on the ground. Homeless Access Team, they're not leaders. They got bosses, boots on the ground. Park commissioners, they got bosses. And that's many of the white residents in Minnesota. So that's the fifth entity. What's happening now, and this is so bad. Minneapolis Park Board is going around to homeless people and making them sign permits. Now, this is information from somebody from a sanctuary, boots on the ground, that said they're making homeless people sign permits, 7-page permit, and if anything gets messed up in the park, they're liable. Are you kidding me? You are signing homeless people to lawfully liable contracts. My guess is the reason they're doing, and because they want to make sure that them staying on the parks is legal. And they want to do that because they don't want residents turning up on them. This is where this goes really awry for me. Maybe the residents should shut up or help out. Maybe rich white folks at Lake of the Isles should shut up and show up and start doing something. Maybe rich white folks in Kenwood and around Bede-Makaska should shut up and show up and bring something. And instead of the park board feeling intimidated by white residents, they should feel galvanized, encouraged, and supported by white residents. Well, hey, let's get out there. Let's help them out. Let's do something. We got to buy up the block. What do we got to do? My kids don't need all this money when they turn 18. Come on, let's buy a building. Let's get some actual affordable housing happening. On the other end of it, you have city council that is in charge of the city's infrastructure, and particularly President of the City Council, Lisa Bender, who has drove home the idea that affordable housing is $900 to $1,500 a month. Young white renters come into her ward. They all celebrate, sing Kumbaya, and then they go off and then they, order things on Amazon. But that being said, that is not affordable housing. Have you seen the condos in Uptown? That is not affordable at all. All of that could be used for actual affordable housing. And what Lisa Bender calls naturally occurring affordable housing is what I'm going to butcher the name, but I'm going to say it anyways. Inquilidades Unidas por Justicias, they call it naturally occurring profitable housing, because these landlords, these building owners are making 77% profit margin. You're going to tell me that they need all 77% of that? Mm-mm. So that being said, the long-term plan, got to buy property. We got to buy it up and turn it to the people. Because young white renters, they're not going to give it up. They're going to still be under the guise that Lisa Bender is saying, yeah, naturally occurring affordable, affordable housing. It's happening. No, it's not. That's why you got homeless folks staying at Lake of the Isles, and you got, park police checking on them every 2 hours. Then we have to serve the intermediate between the long-term and the short-term goal, which is to culturally turn the people of Minneapolis onto supporting their most vulnerable citizens. Supporting the most vulnerable citizens. It's sad that it took a video of a black man experiencing a modern-day lynching by a state-sponsored group called the Minneapolis Police Department for white folks to turn up in the streets. It shouldn't take encampments for people to start caring about homeless folks. It shouldn't. But you're here now. Welcome. The culture's got to change. The park board should not be intimidated by residents. And the residents should be talking to homeless people and figuring out who their neighbors are and how to help them. And then the immediate goal is to get to a sanctuary and start talking to the homeless folks and figuring out what you can give them. Talk to the people working at the sanctuaries who have been on the front lines, who have been arrested, who have been protecting tents, who have been kind of being a shield between these tents and the state, police, or just basically the exigent circumstances that are producing homelessness in the first place. So that's what it is right now. I may have said some misinformation in there, and I'm going to figure it out. But this conversation can't stop because this has to keep going. This has to keep going. And this work has to move forward. And it can't just be you showing up to, some food and supply bank, which I guess, and that is an immediate need. You should be doing that. But you should also be consistently educating yourself about what's going on and what the budget is going forward. Like, if Jacob Fry I can't rack my brain around him. I can't talk about him. I can't do it. I can't. Oh gosh, it's so bad. But the idea of like the homeless access team is 9 people. We have to figure out how to triple that. The budget for this needs to be tripled on Hennepin County's part easily. I don't know who's in charge of that, but I'm gonna find out soon, and I'm gonna tell you because I'm not done talking about this. So that's the information I got now. If you have any new information, please write it below. This is information coming from several people at the Logan Park Sanctuary, some people at the Powderhorn Park Sanctuary, a Hennepin County staffer, and also my own experience being on the ground. So that's where it's coming from, in case you're curious. Moving forward, if you have any information, please put it below. We will then put that out and redirect people's efforts and energy into the right places. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.